three people from the same organization: Alexandra Schrenvek, Milka Vasiljevic, and Dragana Stojanovic. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. We are covering your challenge this week. And what is the remote partnering challenge? As you know, if you've been attending over the past weeks, you know that we're looking at real world remote partnering challenges that you're experiencing in your organizations. And this is the part of the workshop that we're looking at, the challenge. I'm sorry, my slides seem to be going in the wrong direction. Greta? Right. Can I ask Alexandra, Milka, or Dragana to come forward and tell us about your remote partnering context?
Hi everybody.
Hello.
All three of us are in the same room, so we all talk simultaneously, so to speak.
Wonderful. Welcome.
We have had challenges when we speak about partnerships, because as three of us work on an innovation program together with our colleagues from IPPF central office in London and in Brussels. Our program here actually consists of us working with 8 different NGOs from different towns of Serbia. I could talk a bit more about Serbia, so just for other participants to gather some sort of a grasp of where we work and where we are. So we are, let's say, on the Balkans. And the capital of Serbia is Belgrade. We operate from Belgrade, but we also have branch offices in other towns of Serbia. Serbia is a country of approximately 10 million citizens. Only in Belgrade, there are 2 million citizens. And when we come, and of course, subsequently, a majority of NGOs in Serbia actually works from Belgrade. Let's say, we have a lot of our colleagues working on the same topic, which is sexual and reproductive health and rights, working in other cities of Serbia on, let's say, the common topic of ours, which is an umbrella topic, is human rights and gender. One of the challenges that we are facing with our partners is actually, since we have to be very close with them on this project that we are working on, is the lack of feedback. So sometimes I will be very plastic here. Sometimes it happens that when we have a joint event in one of the towns where one of the NGOs is, we don't have a proper feedback on how things went and what went well and what did go well. Why is that? It's because the NGOs feel the need and the pressure to be excellent in every respect. They just do not realize that every flaw that we have potentially creates room for improvement for us in the future. And I think that the best way to grow is actually to learn how to provide useful feedback. We have had within our office several workshops, training sessions on giving good feedback, but still, when we go outside Belgrade, we face this situation when we work with our NGOs, and then we get feedback that does not almost and entirely, maybe it's better now, but it's not entirely reflecting the project situation, which of course for us is very important because it affects the overall goal. And this is why our challenges, and I'm saying here for the entire office, actually go in this respect. It's a lack of reliability, and it's a lack of feedback, a proper feedback on my behalf, that actually creates the challenge for my team that works on the project.
Okay, thank you so much for painting the picture. And I think lack of feedback and difficulty in getting feedback is contextually and culturally different in so many countries, isn't it? And like you say, some people will only say positive things, even if they don't feel that the situation has been positive.
Yes.
So we're really going to ask our colleagues what people have done in order to get that feedback. I don't know if you've been following some of the conversations over the past couple of weeks, but we have been looking at ways of creating mechanisms whereby we could feed back to people in an anonymous way, because sometimes the personal and the exposure of what you might say can make people feel unable to give the feedback. So, for example, I mean, just even the poll that Rera ran today on the GoTo training, you could, if you were working online and having a meeting online, run a poll during the meeting to make sure that people are feeding back in an anonymous way, so they can do this without giving themselves away or being embarrassed about what they want to say. If you didn't want to do it during a meeting, you could also circulate a SurveyMonkey, for example, which would again be a link to an anonymous survey where you can be collecting feedback on any processes that you've been having, or even about your meetings. I mean, you could be using it as a way of conducting a review. Sometimes just asking feedback in a cold, harsh way can make people frightened to say things. But if you conduct it under the auspices of, well, we're conducting a review of our partnership and we really want to know what's working well and working less well, can be a good way of getting that feedback. But we really want to turn to our colleagues here.
Catherine, yeah, we have some comments that have started to come in, and we really appreciate in these in these remote partnering challenge sessions, we've had a flood of comments, which is a pleasure to see. So from Eva Livingston Jones, what methods? So she has a question for you three. What methods do you normally use to get feedback? Regina asks, it also helps that when you, or actually comments, it also helps that when you give feedback, you start with a positive first and then needs for improvement follows. I would add that there's also the suggestion to finish with a sandwich, to finish with a positive comment. But Maria Isabel Navarro says, maybe set up an internal accountability mechanism. And Regina adds, most of the time it's easier for us to give negative feedback. Back to you, Catherine. And there's a specific question for our three remote challenge owners.
Yes, I mean, I think Emma's question was a good one, and I just want to turn back to you, Dragana, as to, well, what systems have you got currently? I know you said you've attempted to do things, but it hasn't been working. Are there any things that you sense could help to break through some of the issues that you're facing?
Yeah. Yes, I do appreciate and thank you for all your comments and questions. I will start by answering first the question and then comment on the comments, actually give feedback on the feedback, as we are used to do. The idea behind our methods is actually those anonymous survey. We always have the SurveyMonkeys, and we always do like an anonymous survey with our partners about what worked well and what did not work well. The thing that I forgot to mention is that the NGO sector in Serbia is not related to the government in the very strict way, so that it provides some kind of sustainability in work. So my actual concern, which is my fault because I didn't mention it, is that the people are very the people are changing within even one NGO very fast. It's a very fast-pacing method, and we are able to get a solid work and feedback from one let's say, group of people that works within an NGO. But if for some or another case, one or the other person changes within the subject NGO, then we have some kind of an initiation again of the entire process. And it's actually the question of the organization. We also have very good accountability, let's say, strategies within our office. We believe in accountability very much. The thing is that I have to think now that it's an organizational feedback, not ad persona or any kind of personal feedback, is what we should be focusing on. And if any of you have some kind of experience how to appeal more to the vision, the mission, and the other, let's say, core competencies of one organization, rather than a single or a group of people that might, on our very misfortune in some cases, be changing, I would really appreciate that. And also, I do believe that it's very easy to give negative feedback. I have read it, but we don't do this because we exist in 2002, and in our very long now history in Serbia of working, we have somehow learned first in the first couple of years on our own mistake, and afterwards we got a lot of education in the field of feedback, how to provide one. Still, our not being completely satisfied does not mean that we do not receive feedback at all. We do receive it, but we want it to be on a complete trust basis, which I believe answers one of the other questions that I have seen in the comments.
Yes, the question of trust is central, isn't it, in being able to give feedback and also receive feedback. We have to trust that the feedback that is being given to us is being given with our interests at heart.
Yes.
So
yes,
you mentioned,
I believe in that very much, yes. And the organizations we work with are our partners, some of them for a long period of time, and with some of them we just recently, 2 years ago, established the cooperation, and they're eager even to continue the cooperation even upon the project actually completes itself. This is why we want to establish as proficient as possible relationships with them, so that after we complete with our program and project, our cooperation continues in the same path of human rights and gender and sexual and reproductive health and rights, which are of utter importance to all of us here.
thank you for that. So Regina says there are people who are more comfortable in giving and receiving feedback in a one-to-one basis rather than in a group. Had you considered doing sort of peer-to-peer feedback either by somebody that is trusted, so that the person knows that they can speak in confidence, or through somebody that might be completely neutral and not have any conflict of interest?
Actually, thank you. Thanks to all of our colleagues, especially Emma and Regina. I'm seeing them posting, and we will try now having a neutral person not connected to our project. I think this is actually really great advice that we're getting, to have somebody neutral, not connected to neither NGO or our NGO, to give and provide feedback. And that's actually what we believe would be a good solution here at the moment. Let's elaborate on that now. We will do it in our team. We will elaborate on that, and this really seems to be like a very good idea.
Great. Well, I'm glad you think that is a good idea. Just to let you know that there is Save the Children is conducting independent, anonymous survey on workplace culture. And so they've brought in an organization to conduct the surveys and to contact people anonymously, so that people can be honest about what they think about the workplace culture. So that's an example of what other organizations are doing as well.
Right, Catherine, there's quite a bit going on in the chat. So
I can see Emma's comments about mixing methods. Sorry,
the message from Sumaru: it needs deep understanding and needs to go through the plan to provide genuine feedback. Regina asked about, or made the comment that some people are more comfortable giving or receiving feedback if it's one-on-one rather than in a group. And then we've got a message from Hannah Lind. I'm not sure if it is possible to separate the people from the organization. I realize it is frustrating when there's high turnover, but maybe it's a good idea to have a short induction meeting with all the relevant partners as and when the people change, to help build trust. Alexandra says, thank you. And Emma Livingston Jones adds, have you thought of mixing methods? Sometimes great feedback comes from conversation, not written down feedback.
Absolutely. Conversations will often give you informal feedback that is just as valuable as the formal feedback. and also the comment from Hannah around the turnover. It is an issue for almost every organization. And one of the things that I've seen work with organizations is that when they have the turnover, often what happens is that the person just leaves with all the knowledge, with all the information about the work that they've been conducting in the partnership, and it doesn't get shared. And so partnerships have devised a kind of group agreement so that they not only share and hand over everything that's important from their partner's perspective, but they also give feedback as part of the group agreement. And if it's built into the group agreement, then people know as they leave that they've got a responsibility to give feedback to the rest of the partnership. So I don't know whether that could work, Dragana, with you in terms of, you know, building in some kind of agreement so that people know to expect being asked for feedback too.
Yeah, we agreed. Hello, do you hear me? Yeah, we agree with the comment of with the Hannah's comment, and we also have a practice of handover for people who are leaving our organization, so that new colleagues can continue that work and be informed about their duties and everything.
Okay, thank you. Regina, do you want to say a little bit more about your listening methodology? Do you have any idea? Are you talking about appreciative inquiry, for example? Sort of having a group, you know, there is methodologies around peer learning. I don't know if you've heard about those, where you get different partners coming together and each partner comment on a particular aspect that is being asked, and give advice or give their thoughts or just have a conversation about a particular topic. But it is very focused. Yeah, exactly. Emma just mentioned action learning. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's peer learning, action learning, the same thing. Patrick Obungi says, feedback could be determined on a case-by-case basis, as you will see the scene or context and make the probable correct judgment. And yes, I think feedback is contextual, and you don't want it just in one big lump and getting it, you know, as either one-to-one person, as we mentioned, or in a group. There's all different kinds of methods. Regina, again, just a conversation on a particular topic. So really focusing on an area that's going to be of value to you all, and then getting the conversation to assist you in getting the kind of feedback that you want, asking specific questions that will get you the kind of feedback you're looking for. Regina again says, and documenting the themes that come out through listening. So I think the informal conversation is probably a really good way of building trust as well, because you're not pointing the finger at anyone to give you specific feedback, but you're actually generating a conversation where you might get the useful information in a softer, less forward way. Anyone else? Dragana, would your colleagues like to comment at all? Milka or Alexandra?
Yes, we agreed with the techniques that Regina wrote here. We also think that the informal conversation for giving a feedback is a good technique, and
I think it's now actually we are going to, upon our finishing with the conversation, we are going to actually elaborate a bit on what was said and think about our future steps, but to appreciate all of the comments and questions. Thanks.
Great. So Hannah Lintz commented that if your partners report to you regularly, you could include a question on feedback in the reports. But she then again adds that this might not be helpful if the partners are reluctant to provide negative feedback. So I think we covered the kind of ways in which we could, you know, create more informal spaces for people to give us the information that we need. Emma Livingston-Jones mentioned that you could potentially get feedback on the questionnaire from partners. Is it asking the right questions? Do they receive it at the right time? So the timing of the feedback that we ask is also critical. Are we asking it at the time when we're going to get the best answers? If people are under stress and having to get reports in and reports are delayed, it probably is not the best time to be getting the feedback. But if we're in a more informal setting, or we're in a setting where it's more conducive to building a trusting conversation, then we'll probably get richer results. Emma asks, how would they like to do it? So I'm not sure if you're saying whether you ask in the group here how would they like to do it, or the partners. Okay, sorry, Emma. Just adding to the list in previous comments.
So, Catherine, I wanted to highlight that we actually have a guest who contributed to the Voices of Remote Partnering. Tony Lee Luen Len is here. And he just sent me a message saying, I am here if you need me. So it'd be great. He's been listening. So it'd be great to hear from him. For those of you who remember, who watched his Voices of Remote Partnering videos, he obviously has a lot to potentially contribute.
Wonderful. Thanks, Retta. Hello, Tony. Very nice to have you here with us. If you'd like to turn your microphone and just comment on what you've heard today.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I couldn't join you before with everyone's schedule. Interesting work, and I'm happy that lots of people have embarked on this sort of this training and this journey. And I've enjoyed hearing all the different sharing from different people on their work. And yeah, so for me, what came across from this session is the importance of feedback. I think a lot of it was around receiving feedback and giving feedback. Yeah, if you have any question, you can ask me. But I suppose I've given my sharing regarding the challenges that I face. Yeah, I've heard it also a lot about using technology, WhatsApp, Skype, from one of the person. One thing that I find, which is actually working well for us, is platforms like collaborative platforms like Basecamp. Everything is in one place and it's linked to Google Doc, and there's some discussion forums. The PBA one that's being used, Catherine, I don't know what you're feeling regarding that, the Mighty Bell one. I didn't find it too easy to use or too engaging, at least for the moment. And that's my part of technology. And yeah, any questions?
Okay, any questions from anyone? I mean, we have been extensively today covering feedback and feedback on feedback, and how to give good feedback, how to receive feedback, how to extract feedback. So it's been a very big focus on feedback today. So do you today, just having listened to the challenge, Tony, do you have sort of any suggestions to Dragana and Milka and Alexandra around the feedback and really genuinely being able to get valuable feedback from their partners?
Yeah, I can understand the challenge, mainly where they sometimes haven't got like very close relationship between people, and to be able to ask for feedback or give feedback, and also people with different contexts. I totally get that, but I suppose the way that's been suggested, like in informal discussions, and also probably I haven't heard that today.
Okay.
But the way of giving feedback, but like the process of giving feedback, personal and also to give some facts and yeah.
Okay.
That's what I can
We
say
kind of
probably
lost you
on
there in the
feedback,
end.
which is quite a challenge itself. Oh yeah, sorry, my phone was ringing at the same time. I'm on the phone now. Yeah, what I was saying is about the feedback is probably you covered that also during the sessions on feedback about the way of giving feedback.
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes, we do, and we've also in the update section there is quite a lot of tips on giving feedback, and I've also, if you want to join my LinkedIn, I've got a whole piece on a model that I've developed around giving feedback, which you may find helpful in your remote work. So just look for me on LinkedIn, and then you can read the blog that I've written on that. So Nicola, just in our closing comments, Nicola says, just to add, might be good as well to get feedback from the partner to your organization. So it will be more of a two-way process. And then Milka thanks you and everyone for the comments and suggestions. So we've run out of time today. It's actually top of the hour. So we just want to thank you again for all of your participation. And we're very excited to get your finalized plans in. And we really hope that you'll be able to attend the commencement events on the 5th of April, because it's going to be the opportunity really to showcase both the course and the partnering plans, the diverse creative plans. So do put yourself forward to bring your plans to bear so that everyone can experience them. And it will be a little bit of a fun occasion as well to celebrate all the hard work that everyone's done. You know, unlike some courses where you don't have to do any work, this work you've really labored, you've worked hard, and it would be great to be able to celebrate your contributions. Reda, do you have any final comments before we close?
No, thank you, Catherine. I just want to express my gratefulness to Catherine. It's been a wonderful experience doing this course together, and to say how excited I am about these commencement exercises. So you are already registered automatically through GoToTraining, just like we usually do. But what's at stake is really, this is your chance to show people what you have actually produced. The fact that you worked so hard, your presentation will be the testament to that hard work and effort over many weeks. This is why I want to encourage you to invite people from your partnership, from your organization, invite colleagues, and also especially if maybe your families have know that you are taking this course, that you've sacrificed your precious time to work on it. So my suggestion would be to invite them as well, so you can see, so they can get a sense of what you've been up to. That, of course, is entirely up to you. But we have had wives and children and relatives join previous commencement exercises, and it's really a pleasure to get to know them, and for them it gives them a good sense of what you were up to during those times. But definitely colleagues and partners, and this is going to be a fast-paced, exciting event. We're going to make it good, and it's going to be on Facebook Live. So we've had literally hundreds of people join these kinds of commencement events, and it's really up to you how many people will be coming. If you think this work is important, if you've gained a lot from this, then definitely and you want to spread the word, this event is your chance to do it, and for us all to do it together.
Thank you, Reda, and thank you to everyone. And I just invite you to turn your webcams on just so you can wave goodbye to everyone. It's been amazing having you on, and just getting to know you and seeing your work. It's been phenomenal. So thank you, and hope to see you at the events. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Grazie, Nastasia.
Yeah.